Good. Fuck. I haven't eaten, I'm hungry. Welcome back. Today, development. New FL5. It's only been out for a few months. JP and I went to the release day. We took the FK8 out at Pukekohe on the track. I do actually like the look of it, me personally. I'm waiting for the next shipment to come through because we missed out on the first shipment. So when the next one comes through, might look at buying one. But anyway, we have a good customer of ours. We're not going to mention who that is, but he has given us his one to develop some tuning. We did a lot of kind of in behind testing with the ECU, got all the pinout diagrams, worked out how similar it was to the FK8 ECU. They're very, very similar. There is some stuff in the security protocol side of things. But yeah, we've worked with our the company that we tune a lot of Euro stuff with, because it's still a Bosch ECU, and yeah, we can tune them. So that's what's on the dyno today. I haven't eaten, I'm hungry. So I've got a base file made up. So I looked at some of the mapping compared to our FK8 when we did our initial stage 1 tune. So we're going to replicate that. Now we do know there is some differences in this car, namely the turbo. It is a bit smaller than the FK8, so we're going to take that into account when we're adding boost into it, because we obviously can't push it as hard as the FK8. So we'll start with that file. We'll work our way up to try and get to a point where we're actually happy with it. Looking at things like, you know, all the knock, what our intake temps are doing. These have got temperature sensors pre-intercooler and post-intercooler, so that's going to give us a good idea on how the turbo is operating and where it's operating in its efficiency graph. So I guess, yeah, let's get into it. We'll do probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 base runs, get a starting point and go from there. I haven't eaten, I'm hungry.
What he actually means is we're going to do 2 or 3 base runs, and because these things don't like being on the dyno, all the Christmas trees will come on, and then breathing on my neck. We're all a little bit excited about tuning this car. We're all a bit fizzy about it, because as far as we know, no one's tuned one yet, so we are doing some groundbreaking stuff here at TPD. And he's been talking really loud at PS because he's got freaking earmuffs on now, and he was wearing bloody earplugs, so he's literally been screaming at the camera, so I'm sorry if he offended any of you. On how they compare against the FK8. I know a couple of places have dynoed a few of these and they say that it makes more power. So just comparing, there's not really actually anything in it. These actually are running a little bit more boost. So we're talking 1.4, 1.5 bar versus about 1.6 bar. Torque does look like it heats a lot earlier. As you can see, obviously with the smaller turbo it gets up and boosts a lot quicker, and then it starts falling over probably around about 4.5, and the FK8 actually makes more torque than about here, but over lane there's nothing really in it. I'll do a couple of comparisons against some other cars. Yeah, very, very similar, but those are very similar. Target fuels are can't really see much difference, a little bit more torque. The annoying thing is with this being a rolling road, it's very hard to do comparisons against other cars. If you had a hub line with as long as we're not changing the configuration, we're not tying it down differently, as long as we're tuning it in this same setup, then comparing the gains is pretty good. So we'll go put the pole in it now, see how it goes. last couple of runs, just preparing peak power, a little bit more in torque, 496 to 524, targeting up there. I just want to hold that flat and then kind of drop down, so I think we're just hitting some sort of torque limit there, because it does drop off. So yeah, I've got the RPM, I've got some logs, and we'll just go up and start tweaking it from there. Just flashing the next file in it. I've made some changes to the torque, so it came up on boost the way how I wanted it to, then tapered away, so I'm assuming it's got some sort of torque limit because it kind of hit some sort of limit and then just dropped, and then it learnt from it on the second run. So I have just upped some of those torque limits a bit, and we'll run that next and see how that goes. Where's the bowler? This is Jam Daniel. Page up. Turbo boost! Stop on. I've made it a tad richer, so I'm going to keep the off the top gains down a little bit less. But we are actually making more peak torque because we're going to pull the cylinder temperature, and then I'm just going to taper it down so that it matches that one there. So, and then I'll
It's real weird, eh? Like it's way more efficient but smaller turbo, it just doesn't want to make its power.
yeah, it makes really good torque, like we're talking 550 millimeters.
Yeah, I know that.
Which is good, like off the bottom, good torque, but there's just nothing at the top. Doesn't matter what I do. It's like Honda's tuned this car to the peak RPM to be pretty much as max as it will be. It's not finding any extra.
Well, no, it is. It's running more torque, but it's like they left nothing on the table for you to fiddle with.
It is hard on this dyno because we don't have the cooling or the air going through it, what we see, because at the top of the run I'm doing close to 200k an hour, and that's only pushing 80-90k of wind speed, and the intake temps are hitting kind of just peaking just over 50 degrees. So I think on the road you might see a little bit better, it might sit around about 44, 46. So we need a road test it. So I'm going to go back to the last tunable, a combination of the last one and this one.
So I need to go get an FK8 turbo off the shelf.
Yeah, we'll just put one. We've got one of our upgraded ones up there, right? So there you go. If you buy an FL5 and you want decent power out of it, put a bigger turbo on it. Oh, it's got all the other good shit. It's got VTEC on intake cam as well. Oh, sorry, exhaust cam.
No.
Or VCT on it.
No, it's VTEC. It's still VTEC. It's the same engine. All they've changed is gear ratio to turbo.
Oh no.
Yeah. Should I go and get a stock turbo off an FK8, like a factory one and one of our ones, so they can have a look at, since they're on this whole K20C buzz?
Yeah, why not?
I'll go grab one.
Side difference. So there you go. Cut. Go upstairs.
That seems to be the thing. Alright, we just moved out of the dyno because it's too windy and too annoying in there. You can't hear anything and I don't want to yell at Piers. As we were just talking about turbos, I thought we might as well just go through it. So we have, that's an FK8 turbo off a pre-facelift FK8. Doesn't really matter, they run the same turbo. This is one of our turbos. But we're going to get into that in a second. So what I first wanted to do is I've got the actual picture here on my phone with the part numbers. So the FL5 runs a 66V TD04TC is the part number. Now this one here is a 5BF TD04TC. So what I did is I got in contact with MHI themselves to figure out what the difference was, because I was really itching at the bit to know the difference between the FL5 and the FK8 turbo. So what they did is it is the same family of turbos, it's the same bolt pattern, same wastegate mounting, all that type of stuff. However, what they did is on the FL5 turbo versus the FK8, they've added an extra blade versus the FK8 one, and what they've done is they've gone smaller in the exhaust housing. So the FK8 has the same inducer but a larger exducer than the FL5. Reducing in what we're seeing now is the FL5 that we're trying to tune on the dyno at the moment isn't really responding to much. Not that it's not responding, it doesn't like being pushed a little bit harder. We do see quite a significant gain in torque, but not a humongous gain in overall peak power, and we are seeing that the intake temperatures where we would like to run the turbo don't like it. So as you can see, if anyone's ever looked at an FK8, it is a monoport design, blow-off valve on the front, or the Euro boys call them. What's the name for a Euro boy blow-off valve? A diverter valve, that's it. I'm old school.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
I don't have them diverting anywhere except atmosphere. Race Pro Blaster. Cool little baby exhaust wheel, as they all do. This turbo's been rather hot. And little wastegate flap here. Small little exhaust wheel and our little wastegate teacup flap, which is run off the factory electronic wastegate on the factory turbo. Our turbo, which will be available soon, actually are landing next month. Well, the parts are landing next month for assembly. They are assembled here in New Zealand. As you can see, inlet size does matter. We have a much larger orifice with more blades and a bigger turbo, inducer. And then we'll go to the rear, the money shot. If we get a close up there of the wheels, huge difference. Absolutely massive. Now most of you are probably thinking right now, oh, if you go bigger in the housing, bigger in the wheels, it's going to be way more laggy. And no, this turbo's been tested, developed and everything on my car. The wheels are 9% lighter than the stock wheels, but yet we have 25% larger in diameter wheels front and rear. We are running a Garrett style core, so it's a G25 660 core. This is a completely new housing, so still D5S, still direct bolt-on, and a new casted OEM front cover just with a machined out AR ratio to take the bigger wheel. This turbo comes on just as fast as this one, but this one's done over 300 wheel kilowatt, no problem, only on 1.5 bar. This one does consistently 280 kilowatt on 2 bar, so 30 pound versus 22 pound. This is 280 kilowatt, this is well over 300. This turbo is good for around 2.2 bar, so the car can't even support that type of power. The electronic wastegate is still controlled by the factory OEM ECU, and it is fine. I've been testing this turbo on my car for quite a while now, and it is pretty spicy. It is great. So I just thought it would be a good idea to have a little chat about the FL5 turbo, the FK8 turbo, and then our turbo. The FK8 turbo looks like would be an upgrade for your FL5 for sort of like mid-power, but we know definitely now that our TBD FK8 turbo, or I'll call it a K20C turbo now, because we know it fits on both engines, would be the jam. And I'm going to do it again because this is how YouTube works. Will be available next month from Talk Performance.
Alright, so we're going to go do some road testing now. We've been really struggling. I think heat is the big thing. I think this turbocharger is the size too small. Peak power, wheels, we've gone up about another 10 kilowatt, not huge. I am going to talk to our tuning guys because obviously the software on this is fairly new, so there is some more development maybe to be had. It comes off on boost good. It does a little bit of a dip, but it does that like right here, but it does it on the factory map too. You know, we've found 80 newton meters in torque at the engine, you know, at the wheels, 65 newton meters. But you know, these gains through the mid-range, it's 40 kilowatts through there. But yeah, it's just that little blip there. I can't seem to get rid of that. It could be temperature related, but I don't have that map yet. So we'll go back to the drawing board on that, but we'll go do some road testing. I've left all the safety maps in there as well, so there's obviously still temperature stuff in there. There's stuff that I probably can't see, but the stuff that I can see, I've left it there. Stuff like exhaust gas temperature and all that, so that's relative. They've actually brought that down to make it safer. The knock controls left factory. So yeah, a big chunk of torque off the bottom, so it's obviously going to drive a lot better. So we'll get off the dyno, we'll just go do some road testing with some logs and all that, and just see what the temperature's doing on the road, see how it feels. Just that bit, yeah. Over that. Needs a turbo. Yeah. But even needs a turbo. So that was the second run. The first run got a little bit better there.
That's alright.
Yeah, you'll feel that.
That's what she said. Ready to go, boys? I just put it up on the screen for anyone that's actually interested. It's Jeremy. He's not picking his G. For anyone who's actually interested, we just chucked up my car versus this car. Number plates are back on it, so don't turn around. So, difference here is obviously I'm running bolt-ons and a TPD turbo, and this is the FL5. So FL5 comes in real hard and real fast. FL5 is still all in by 3000 RPM, and you can see on the FK8 turbo, my car, we're only running 1.5 bar. We're all in by, what would you say there, 4? But we are choosing to roll that in nice and smooth for wheel spin. So we could actually bring that in earlier, but you have a look here. So my car, peak torque at 4200, and then the FL5 with a much smaller turbo is at 3500. So you can see the FK with the bigger turbo, even though we went 25% larger on the wheels, it's actually comes on pretty much stock. So, and you can then see the wheel kilowatt difference, 312.5 for my car, and we'll give it a couple of kilowatts there, so we'll say 240 kilowatt wheel on the FL5, and then like I said, you can see the FL5 is kind of falling off, and then the TBD FK just holding on right to the end, and it also holds on all the way to the end on the red line for peak power and torque. So FL5 owners, we can fix your problem. We can make them faster, definitely. But yeah, I know that turbo will directly bolt onto this car too, so I'd be keen to try one if anyone else would. Might even give you a discount. But yeah, for anyone who wants to know, that's the difference. I can actually add, well, we've got PS here, so there we can see also the difference between having a factory turbo on our stage 2 tune, so it does hit 2 bar and then tapers back down to like 1.6, and then with our new turbo it kind of rolls on real nice for traction reasons, and it's still holding 1.5 bar. You can see the power difference, and also it is massively repeatable, so like we can just keep going and going and going. The big turbo in the purple and green, so purple it holds it all the way out to red line, and the green it holds on the torque all the way to the end, whereas before with our just sort of stage 2 without the turbo, just bolt-ons, we were getting 289 wheel kilowatt. So you can see there the blue comes in and then it kind of falls over, and then the torque, it did make a bit more peak torque, and that's only just because it has this big roll on a boost, so it's actually only for maybe 500 RPM makes more torque. You'll see here with the red, comes in real hard and then drops off. So yeah, it's kind of the ups and downs, the benefits and those types of things. Obviously we can wrap that turbo on a hell of a lot harder if we want to, but for development purposes, and we're just trying to get traction, a lot more usable power. My wife drives this car, we just want to make it less wheel spinny, more fast, all the way to the red line, trying to make it feel like an old Honda, just pull all the way to the end. So yeah, there you go. FL5, FK8, bits and pieces, and let's go. Someone else, let's modify one. Go.